Such an amazing head on her shoulders and the game, and I think she has a voice and a platform that's going to transcend the sport. And as we know now, sport is not just tennis. It's fashion, it's art, it's culture, it's having a platform, and I think she does brilliantly of merging all of those together.
Maria Sharapova is at it again. And this time, she hasn't just praised a tennis player, she has made a declaration. A bold, powerful declaration that has set the entire WTA world on fire. According to the 5-time Grand Slam champion and former world number 1, Alex Eala is the biggest fashion icon in women's tennis today. Not just a promising young athlete, not just a rising star on the WTA tour, a full-blown fashion icon. And when Maria Sharapova says something like that, the whole world listens, because this is not a comment from just anyone. This is Maria Sharapova, a woman who dominated the sport for over a decade, who graced the covers of fashion magazines while simultaneously holding the world number 1 ranking, and who understood better than almost anyone what it means to carry a sport on your shoulders while the entire world watches. When she looks at Alex Eala and calls her the biggest fashion icon in women's tennis, she is speaking from a place of deep personal experience. She knows exactly what that kind of influence looks like, and she is telling the world that she sees it in Eala right now. Sharapova made this statement with total conviction. She said that Alex Eala, with her massive global following and undeniable presence, has completely changed the way people look at women's tennis. According to Sharapova, Aya doesn't just play tennis, she transcends tennis. She has the magnetism, the style, and the cultural influence to command attention in rooms that have nothing to do with a tennis court. And Sharapova made it crystal clear. This is not just about tennis anymore, this is about culture, and Alex Eala is carrying that culture on her shoulders. Sharapova gave this statement for a very specific reason. It came right after Alex Eala graced the Stuttgart opening ceremony in a dress that has now become the talk of the tennis and fashion world alike. The moment I stepped out in that iconic outfit, cameras could not stop pointing at her. Social media exploded. Fashion pages shared the images, fans from across the globe reacted with awe, and the industry took notice in a very serious way. That dress was not just a wardrobe choice, it became a cultural moment. Almost immediately, reports began surfacing that major fashion brands are now actively looking to sign Alex Eala as their ambassador. Labels that typically align with the biggest names in entertainment and sport have taken notice, and Eala's Stuttgart appearance appears to have been the tipping point. The combination of her rising profile on the WTA tour and that unforgettable moment at the opening ceremony created a perfect storm that the fashion industry simply could not ignore. Sharapova saw all of this and said what many were already thinking. Alex Eala has crossed a threshold that very few athletes ever reach. She has become someone whose influence extends far beyond her sport. In Sharapova's eyes, that is not a coincidence. It is the result of who Aya is as a person, how she carries herself, and what she represents to millions of people around the world. Because Sharapova's admiration for Eala goes even deeper than fashion. She has been closely watching Eala ever since her extraordinary breakthrough at the Miami Open, where the young Filipino star made it abundantly clear that she had officially arrived on the biggest stage in women's tennis. That tournament changed everything. Before Miami, I was seen as a highly talented prospect with enormous potential. After Miami, she was a force to be reckoned with on the WTA tour, and the entire tennis world knew it. Sharapova emphasized that Eala is representing Asia in a way that inspires millions of people who may have never felt seen or represented in professional tennis before. Tennis has historically been dominated by players from Europe and North America. While the sport has grown globally over the decades, Asian representation at the very top level of women's tennis has remained relatively rare. Sharapova believes Eala is changing that narrative, and she is doing it with style, grace, and elite-level talent all at once.
Sport is not just tennis, it's fashion, it's art, it's culture, it's having a platform, and I think she does brilliantly of merging all of those together.
According to Sharapova, Aya is not just building a career for herself. She is opening doors for an entire generation of young players across Asia who now believe that they too can compete at the highest level. That kind of impact, Sharapova said, makes Eala far more than a tennis player. It makes her an emerging icon for Asian tennis and now for Asian representation on the global fashion stage as well. For someone like Sharapova, who spent her own career understanding what it means to represent a culture and a region in front of the entire world, those words carry a weight that goes beyond simple praise. What has also deeply impressed Sharapova is Eala's mentality. She made it clear that being a champion is not just about winning matches, it is about how you respond when things don't go your way. Anyone can look confident when everything is going in their favor. The real test of a champion is how they handle adversity, how they process defeat, and how they come back stronger. By that measure, Sharapova says Eala is already showing the mental strength of someone far beyond her years. Eala handles defeats without letting them shake her confidence. She celebrates victories without losing her composure or becoming distracted. Sharapova described this emotional balance as one of the rarest and most valuable qualities a young athlete can possess. The WTA Tour is a long and relentless competition. Even the greatest players in history lose matches regularly. The ability to absorb those losses and keep moving forward without falling apart is what separates the good players from the truly great ones. And Sharapova sees that quality clearly in Eala.
Of course, the victories are so special, but if you treat them too high, and you treat the tough moments as a really big low in your career, it's hard to find that happy medium. And I think that's what that sweet spot is really important, especially for a young player's career.
It is also worth noting that the respect between these two goes both ways. Alex Eala has spoken openly and repeatedly about how Maria Sharapova was one of her biggest inspirations growing up. Like millions of young tennis players around the world, Eala watched Sharapova dominate the sport during her prime. From winning Wimbledon as a teenager to building one of the most recognizable and iconic careers in the entire history of tennis, Sharapova's journey left a lasting impression on Eala. She has said she would love to follow a similar trajectory, learning from the experiences of those who came before her and using those lessons to build something truly special. And now Sharapova is looking right back at her with respect, admiration, and the kind of belief that only comes from someone who has lived through the journey themselves. And Sharapova is far from alone in her feelings about Eala. The entire tennis world has been paying close attention. Novak Djokovic, widely regarded as one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, has reportedly expressed strong admiration for the young Filipino star. After her exit from Indian Wells, Djokovic reportedly said that Eala is great to watch on television, but even better to watch in person. Coming from a man who has competed against the greatest athletes across multiple generations, that statement means everything. He called her an incredible athlete who is earning her place in the WTA for all the right reasons, not because of media, hype, or manufactured attention, but because of genuine talent, relentless dedication, and real hard work.
Alex is someone I get along very well with on and off the court. Again, another physical battle, but obviously against an opponent that was, playing on a high level. So I'm glad to overcome it. I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching.
The praise she is receiving is not random hype. It is coming from some of the most respected and credible names in the entire world of sport. Maria Sharapova sees a future icon who represents Asia and now the fashion world on the global stage. Novak Djokovic sees a disciplined champion in the making. Jessica Pegula sees a player whose presence is electrifying the entire WTA Tour, and millions of fans across Asia see themselves reflected in her journey for the very first time. Alex Eala still has a long road ahead of her. There will be victories, tough losses, and many lessons yet to come. But if what we are already witnessing is just the beginning, if Sharapova's declaration is as prophetic as it sounds, then the WTA Tour may be on the verge of watching an Asian superstar fully step into the spotlight on the court and on the runway. And if you ask Maria Sharapova, that moment cannot come soon enough.